Hi and welcome. My name is Sonia, and this is number 2 of my brush series. Last time I did a video on the blend brush and mature skin and how to use it. I will link it below, but next we're going to introduce the blush bronzer brush. The makeup that I'm using is Seint Beauty Makeup, and it is a cream-based foundation. And in the description down below, how to get a color match, all the colors I have on my eyes, and what I use on my face. If you haven't, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And if you subscribe, then you'll be notified every time I put up a video. If you've gotten color matched by me, I've marked your face all up. And in that, I may have you putting a darker color in your darker skin areas. With mature skin, a lot of times we just have a lot more colors in our face from melasma, sun damage, all kinds of things, maybe redness with rosacea. And in that, you may end up with 3 colors suggested: a color corrector or a color for your darker areas, a quote unquote main highlight, or I may say a highlight for your lighter areas, and then a brightener. So I'm going to go in on my face. First of all, I have redness right here or darker area. I have bigger pores here, so I need to use a darker color, and on my chin. Typically, when I do my face, I use a different brush to use on my red areas because of being an artist and I have a bigger area. I trust myself with this brush, but it's not always a brush for if you're just new to this makeup. So I'm going to adjust things the way I do them just a little bit, and I'm not even going to do, since I already did the blend brush, I want to show you a little bit with the blush bronzer brush how you can put this on. If you have a small area of redness, like maybe just your cheeks are red, maybe a little bit on your chin, your nose, whatever those areas, I do recommend using the small end of the blend brush for that and use a pressing in motion. But since I use a darker color on kind of like in the butterfly area of my face and my chin and even a little bit right here, I'm going to use blush bronzer brush for that. Now the blush bronzer brush, it has a more dense end, smaller end, and as you can see, this one's bigger and it's a little fluffier. It bends a little bit, meaning it bends a little bit more putting it on the face. This one is a little bit more firm when you put it on. The beauty of this brush is it can hit a large area. It is slightly dense, so it does really, really well with pressing in. The issue is it doesn't do well on small areas, which is where that other brush may come in. But let's use this. Okay, so I'm in between colors since I'm going into fall and losing a little bit of color, although I am using self tanner. I'm going to dip a little bit into one and then the other color. As you can see, I'm putting very minimal on the brush. You don't want to cake the brush up. That's one of the major things with this makeup, is minimal is best when you're putting on the brush and putting it on your face. So I'm doing a stippling pressing motion. As I said, for mature skin, you're going to find that that pressing in motion is going to be the best thing that you can do for your skin, not a sweeping motion. Our faces just move too much. Young skin doesn't do that. I'm losing collagen and all the things. So you just have to do more of a pressing in motion. And I'm going to get rid of all this redness, all this discoloration. Let me color match you. Don't go to the website and go, what color am I? That's what I do. I have the link down below for a custom color match. You don't have to do it. That's why I love this so much. Let me serve you in that way. I have my redness and discoloration covered pretty well. Let me give it a little peek. But as you can see, I couldn't really get underneath my eyes with this brush. I use my finger. I like it because it warms up on my finger and I can get in and really press in. But I don't have a lot of discoloration. What I do have is wrinkles. And I find that using my finger is the best. I get minimal product, I get great coverage, and I get it right exactly where I want it. So if you want to see, like, see how little I have on my finger? And I would rather see you put little on, press it around. Like, I'm not using a sweeping, I'm using more of a pressing in motion. I would rather have you go back and dip in a little bit more if you feel like you didn't get enough. You see where my eyes are sinking in there? Like, if that whole area is dark for you, You may need a smaller brush that we have. This brush would probably even be too big. It might take a smaller brush and you might not be able to do it with your finger. Okay, I'm still going to use this brush and I'm going to come down here. I don't have any makeup here. I do have a little bit on my chin and right here. I have a lot of texture on my chin. You may not be able to see it, but I have acne scarring on my chin. And with that, I want to make sure I use a dark enough color not to bring attention to the acne scarring. Just so you know, when you have acne scarring, which usually means like pitted on your face or in any texture, pores, large pores. I don't know why when we get older we get larger pores, and obviously the wrinkles. This makeup is not going to take it away. It's not, you're not going to, you can't take away texture, but what you can do is use the right color of makeup to minimize the look of the texture. Too light of a color or illumination will bring out exactly what you're trying to hide. So getting the right color is super important. So down here underneath my cheekbone area where I'm adding a little bit lighter color, again, I'm mixing. I can do maybe a little bit more sweeping because this part of my face is not quite as wiggly as it is above. And then I can sweep up here, but my bangs pretty much cover my forehead. So I just don't use a lot of makeup right there. But sometimes I want to make sure I get right there. Okay, so the blush bronzer brush, you can see so far, I'm able to do my entire face with it. But like I said earlier, if you have smaller areas to color correct, this blend brush is probably going to be the brush that you're going to want to use. Next is bronzer. This brush comes in a great deal to save you $10. If you buy the blush bronzer brush and you pick out one of our bronzers, let me help you with that. And then you save $10. It's a bundle. It's a really good deal. I'm still using the small end and I put a little bit of Bella bronzer on there. And I'm going to warm up my face. Like, did you see when I put my makeup on, see how I'm looking kind of one-dimensional? This is called 3D makeup. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're adding more dimension to our face. We aren't meant to be all one dimension. Tapping on my cheek area. So a little bit on my cheek. A little on my nose, maybe my chin. And in the summertime, I had a lighter area right there. That's kind of getting better. Now, if you want, because this is so fluffy, and see how it doesn't move my skin, if I'm really, really careful, you can put your bronzer on with that fluffy end. Let me get some bronzer on there. You can use this fluffier end and do a little bit more of a sweeping motion. You just don't want to disturb your highlight that you already have on there too much. Or if you're not going to wear any highlights and you're going to just wear bronzer, that might be the end that you want to use too. I love this brush. The next thing that I do, I've been able to do my entire face so far with this and my finger, is contouring. Now, you could contour with this brush. You could squeeze it together, dip it in the contour, and you could push it right in here. I'll do one side of my face. That is not the way I like to do it, just because when you squeeze it, it doesn't squeeze completely flat. But let's try it. I want to give you options. You could be like, Sonia, it's the only brush that I have, okay? Or you could put it on with your finger. It's the only brush that I have, and I want to just be able to use it for now. So put on a little bit of contour. If anything with this, I would probably guess a little bit high, so you don't get it too wide and too low. And then take it, I would still probably squeeze it and fluff up. That doesn't look too bad, does it? I would probably use the blend brush, or there's another brush that I'll be doing soon. That's probably going to be where I would go with this. Go underneath that cheekbone. I stop at about the outer corner of my eye because I have a little bit of sinking in right there. And I like to sometimes kind of let it warm up a little bit, and then I just simply blend it up. Okay. See, that pretty good for using that brush. But my preferred method would probably definitely be this one. I like, if anything, that just, it was a little bit bigger area, but it's okay. It's all right. Again, my blend brush, and I'm going to put a little bit contour here, bring it up on my jowls. I'm just playing with light here, trying to hide that stupid sinking skin, dropping skin, I should say. See how my skin moves? That's why I do a lot of tapping. With this, I can kind of sweep a little bit, like it's on my bone, but now blush. My area for my cheeks and this brush, I can use it for my blush, and I do. I just find that it's bigger because I have such a small area. I typically grab a smaller brush, but this is the blush bronzer brush. So honestly, it can be the brush that you use, and I think most people just love it. I'm just going to use a little bit of this Sandstone color. It's a really super pretty satin color. I'm going to put a little bit of it on the ends, and I'm going to tap on the very top area of my cheekbone, making sure I don't get too low or too wide. Like I said, I have a really small cheekbone area, but if you tap, see how lightly I'm tapping? It doesn't take a hard pressing motion. Really, really light. I'm going to go up, just think up a little bit. You don't have to do this part. I just feel like it gives me a little bit of a lift to kind of bring it up on my temple. And then on my cheeks, I just tap just a little bit of that color. Next is brightening. I cannot brighten with this brush, okay? I cannot brighten with this brush no matter what I do. There's no way I could even put it on with my fingers and blend it around with this brush because I have such a small area to brighten. So I am going to pull out that blend brush. I'm going to take it into my brightener and do this. I'll speed this up for you. I'm going to take a little bit down my nose. And then weirdly, I've been contouring after I brighten. I know, weird. And I'm going to take this slightly damp Perfector sponge, and I am just going to slightly do this underneath my eyes, in any area that I feel like maybe I got a little bit too much makeup, or I just want to press it in. This thing is wonderful for that. Very gently tapping. And then lastly, the very last thing that I do out of this palette is I put on a little bit of our Vanilla Dust. I wouldn't use the blush bronzer brush for that because I don't like mixing my creams and my powder. But if you don't ever use this end for your creams or your bronzer or anything, you can't go in here and fluff it around your face. I just like to use my actual powder brush, and I mainly go in the area where I brighten, a little bit underneath my eyes, since my eyes do move. I don't ever get creasing underneath my eyes, ever, because I use such minimal product. But if you're afraid you're going to, a tiny bit of powder under there will help, but you don't want to do a lot because we don't want to make ourselves look cakey. I am going to put a little bit on my cheeks because of longevity. I've been doing this Scandinavia. It's called the Makeup Finishing Spray. I will link it below. This is the bridal edition. I just got this off of Amazon, and I've been spraying it on after my makeup is all completed. Everything is on, powder and everything. I've been taking this over my makeup. Now, I didn't have longevity issues because I'm using the right color and the right brushes and the right technique to apply it. I don't have longevity issues with my makeup. But just this little bit extra at the end really holds everything into place. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm so glad that you joined me. Be watching. Next week, we're going to do another brush. I haven't really decided which brush I want to do. I kind of think I'm going to bring out the detail brush next and add it to our little arsenal of makeup brushes here because would be on this now. So I don't know. We'll see. All right. Thanks for being here.